The Jari were regarded as the greatest warriors in the galaxy. 12 foot tall, and they relished combat and viewed war as an art form. Their vast empire spanned over 1,000 worlds, all conquered by raw Jari might. So when a new spacefaring race called humans encroached on their border colonies, the Jari were eager to crush them. Initial reports described the humans as weak, standing barely over 5 feet, with delicate bodies. And their ships were small and lightly armed. Surely such insignificant creatures would pose no challenge to the battle-hardened Jari legions. The first few skirmishes proved otherwise. The humans refused to stand and fight. Their ships would appear from nowhere, unleash devastating ambushes on isolated Jari patrols, then vanish back into space. Efforts to run them down failed. The alien ships were inexplicably faster. Frustrated but undaunted, the Jari vowed to chase humanity from the stars. A grand fleet gathered under warlord Zika Hull, the Empire's finest commander. They entered human space expecting fierce resistance. Instead, they found only ghost towns on abandoned planets. It was as if humanity had simply vanished. Perplexed, Zika Hull left occupation forces on several worlds while he pondered his next move. Within days, supply convoys began vanishing while sabotage ran rampant. Rebel bands armed with primitive but deadly weapons ambushed isolated garrisons and assassinated collaborators. Then the human ships returned, isolating each planet before picking apart the Jari defenders stranded there. 96% of the Grand Fleet had been wiped out before Zika Hull even realized the scale of the disaster. Enraged, the Emperor sent an even larger force to exterminate humanity and avenge the loss. They discovered the worlds conquered earlier now housed sprawling subterranean human complexes. Seemingly cornered at last, the humans fought the descending Jari with shocking ferocity for creatures so small. Thousands died rooting them from those depths, for they exploited their tunnels and traps to inflict horrific casualties. But their strength of numbers and arms triumphed, as it must, and the last redoubts were overrun. However, Zika Hull had learned respect for this adversary. Declaring total war against humanity, he assembled the single greatest host in Jari history. Over 150,000 ships and tens of millions of troops prepared to wipe humanity's stain from the stars once and for all. On they forged towards Earth, ready to crush fierce resistance. Instead, they met. Nothing. No fleets, no armies, not even orbital defenses. As if humanity had simply abandoned their homeworld. Confounded but determined, 1 million Jari troops dropped onto Earth expecting ambushes or traps at any moment. Still nothing. For such small beings, humans had inexplicably immense underground cities, all standing eerily empty. Not a single living thing stirred across the entire planet. The sacrifice of their world made no sense to the Jari warriors. Surely even vermin fought to the death to defend their nest. The Emperor proclaimed total victory over the defeated humans. But Zika Hull felt a cold suspicion take root. Why had humanity made no effort to even slow his inexorable advance? Where was the defiant last stand such a cunning foe would surely stage? The mystery deepened when scout forces reached Earth's moon and found it completely riddled with thousands of unknown power sources emitting immense energy readings. What had humanity been building under their very noses this whole time? The answers became violently clear when a human superfleet even larger than Zika Hull's materialized around Mars. At its heart loomed ships dwarfing even Jari flagships. Too late, Zika Hull realized this cunning species had lured his forces into a trap many years in the making. Mobilizing his gigantic armada, he steeled himself for battle against a foe whose true capabilities remained unknown. Humanity unveiled them with apocalyptic fury. They broke Jari formations and shredded titans with casual ease, annihilating entire chapters in minutes. Their weapons pierced even maximum shields to obliterate targets in single shots. In space, the smaller human ships danced circles around lumbering Jari dreadnoughts, while swarms of robotic attack craft overwhelmed carrier bays. Those fighters displayed no life support. They were mere machines, yet carried intelligence enough to outfly and outshoot Jari aces. On worlds across Sol, hidden human armies finally emerged from their burrows to attack demoralized occupation troops with relentless waves of mechanized walkers. Overhead, monstrous floating fortresses provided lethal fire support. Though hideous casualties resulted, they gradually threw back the shocked Jari everywhere. Desperate gambits to break past Mars and attack Earth directly all failed catastrophically against superior human firepower. Ship after irreplaceable ship burned until barely a quarter of Zika Hull's once splendid force remained. Little choice left but retreat. The mortified Jari commander raced back for the border worlds to regroup and prepare for a counter-offensive. He had scarcely begun when warning came that Earth itself drew near. Scouts reported a colossal hyperspace portal opening, large enough to swallow moons. As they watched in horror, millions more human ships poured out near Saturn to cut off the Jari escape. While smaller than Mars' defenders, their numbers guaranteed certain doom. Swift as floodwater, they swept around to encircle Zika Hull's battered survivors. Now bloodied villains faced righteous avengers, and the judgment they dealt would be terrible indeed. But to the Jari's disbelief, no deathblow fell. Instead, President Cartwright himself hailed Zika Hull from the flagship ESS California. His stern image filled the screens. Surrounded by stoic guardsmen, the tiny human resembled no conqueror he had ever seen. Yet his words resonated with conviction and immutable authority. Your forces are defeated and surrounded with no hope of escape or relief. I command you to immediately stand down all arms and surrender. When Zika Hull involuntarily bristled, Cartwright's icy tone sharpened further. Warlord, your species has thrice attacked our worlds without cause or conscience. The pointless bloodshed ends now. I have ordered my fleets to open fire in 1 hour if your ships remain capable of hostility. However, I desire no more senseless deaths today. Instead, I offer terms for full peace between our civilizations. You expect me to surrender? Zika Hull growled in disbelief. There is no honor in yielding to lesser beings. There is also no honor in shedding blood without purpose, Cartwright answered sternly. You presume weakness where there is only restraint and mercy. We have fathomed technologies beyond Jari science as surely as we have outthought your strategies. Our weapons shred even your vaunted battleships with ease. Our armies have liberated 4 key systems in the midst of fighting you. Here, holograms lit up displaying smashed Jari bases and tattered banners replaced by proud humans guarding endless lines of kneeling Jari prisoners. We can defeat you by force of arms or force of will, warlord. But I seek not humiliation nor vengeance. Instead, lasting peace and justice. Justice? Zika Hull spat back bitterly. You mean reparations and handcuffs for the Jari people? Chains replacing chains? Cartwright gave a sad smile. No, the true justice of stopping innocence across the galaxy, humans and Jari alike, from dying needlessly for one ruler's vanity or paranoia, of ending the vicious cycles of retaliation between our peoples, of forging understanding between 2 proud civilizations and sharing our strengths, rather than testing them against each other. Zika Hull fell silent, brooding over his unexpected words. Perhaps this human understood honor better than he had credited. President Cartwright gently continued, Billions of lives hang in the balance today, warlord. Billions more will suffer if we fail to make peace before any race attempts genocide again. My one condition is your word of honor, before all your captains and crews, to forever stand down your forces. Zika Hull considered deeply. All scenarios showed him utterly at humanity's mercy. They had beaten him soundly, even with strength kept in reserve. These humans fought like apex predators rather than prey. Once roused, they could logically wipe his people from the stars if they chose. Yet their leader seemed to speak truthfully of forbearance, of seeking concord from the jaws of catastrophe. Here, despite appearances, stood not some diminutive being pleading for its life, but a giant bidding him choose unity over ruin. Very well then. He would gamble the destiny of his civilization on forging an enduring covenant between Jari and human. Straightening to his full height, Zika Hull activated fleet-wide communications. Then, slowly, deliberately, he knelt before President Cartwright's image. Behind him his bridge crew rippled with shock before bowing themselves in submission. One by one, ships' commanders across the battered invasion armada followed suit until over 1 million Jari rendered obedience to humanity's elected regent. Mr. President, Zika Hull solemnly began. By my word and my life, I pledge before time's beginning the Jari people shall make war no more. Our fates now rest in your hands alone." Nodding in grave approval, Cartwright answered, "Then as of this moment, let the peace begin."